It seems to me as of late that the entire NFT community has been catching flack more and more from the usual suspects. Now, when I say the usual suspects, I mean the old guard of the art community, right? Just random artists from here and there who are able to chase their bag, make their money, gain their following, and get their clout through conventional methods, through conventional platforms, and through conventional monetization methods. And if I'm being completely and totally honest, I think that they hate NFTs not necessarily because people are making money on them, but because they just can't understand why people would want to make money using them, or at least try to, right? They all say the same things over and over again, and I'm starting to believe that they are just getting fed information from a couple of central sources that they don't fact check, they don't do their research on, they don't do none of that stuff, and I think I am holding out hope here that they aren't hopping on a hype train, hate train, whatever you want to call it. I think that it's really just because nobody really understands the way that this stuff works unless you're working with it on a daily basis, right? At least I'm holding out hope for that, right? That is why I'm making this video. I'm making this video to try to break down exactly why I prefer doing NFTs as opposed to any other method of monetization. Keep in mind, all my words are my own. I don't speak for anybody else in this space other than myself. Take it with a grain of salt, and I encourage you to do your own research because, like I said, that is what I believe to be at the core central point of this problem, right? People not doing any research about the things that they're hating on. All that being said, let's get on into a couple of reasons why I prefer NFTs over conventional methods of monetization. All right, first and foremost is the right-click and save crowd. Now, the big thing with this is that the major aspect of NFTs that draws a lot of people in is the aspect of digital ownership. Being able to say, I own a little piece of history, or this thing that this artist made, or that thing that that artist made. But people like to think that this is completely and totally negated simply by the fact that you can right-click and save random aspects of random things on the internet using your mouse, right? And I think that this is quite possibly one of the dumbest arguments, right? No disrespect, even though a lot of the people who have disrespected me in this space or outside the space have disrespected this space using this argument. I'm going to be completely and totally honest with you. The easiest way I can put this is I could go to the Louvre, right? I think that's how you pronounce it. I've never spoken French before, but I could go to that big art museum in France that's ran by the French government, and I could go and I could snap a picture of the Mona Lisa. Now, I have a picture of the Mona Lisa, or I could go to Google Images and I could download an image of the Mona Lisa. That doesn't mean that I own the rights to the Mona Lisa, and that doesn't mean that I own the resale rights to the Mona Lisa. I don't see your name on it, is another way of putting it. You see, the way that NFTs work, if you're buying them on a platform, you pay your share of the crypto, right? You give your crypto to whoever's marketing it off, whoever is auctioning it off, selling it, whatever, and then it is transferred from their wallet or the intermediary wallet that the platform is holding it in to your cryptocurrency wallet, which means that you have the actual asset in your possession, right? And it's not just something that you can look at, it's something that you can trade off, you can send it to somebody, you can sell it off, or if you're an absolute madman and you aren't in it for the money, you can burn it, which means that you destroy it, and that means that no one else can have it, and that means that you just took another one out of circulation, right? Whenever it comes down to this argument, it's also a sort of thing of like, well, does that mean that remembering things properly is copyright infringement, right? That's another way I've heard it put by Dick Masterson of the Dick Show podcast, right? I enjoy that podcast. Shameless plug there. But if you really think about it, like, I don't know, well, it's sort of like you wouldn't download a movie, right? Well, I know that you would, right? Who hasn't in this day and age, right? That's not self-incrimination. I've never pirated movies. But what I'm trying to say is that doesn't mean that you have the right to put that onto a DVD and sell that off, or at least you can't do that legally whenever it comes to conventional media. The law has not caught up with NFTs at this point, but the platforms already have sort of a, not a fail-safe, but they have rules in place for that. And I mean it like this. So if you right-click and save an NFT, that doesn't immediately give you the ability to resell it. But if you go and you take that NFT that you have just copied, or not even copyrighted, you've taken a picture of it, you've copied it, and you try to mint it so that you create a completely new NFT that uses the same image, well, first off, you aren't the verified owner of it, and people are going to know that if they do their research, if they check to see if you are the verified owner and creator of that art. But at the exact same time, if you get caught doing that, which you will get caught very quickly, a lot of people like search out copy minters, that's what they're referred to as, and you will get banned for it. You will get banned. That wallet, I'm fairly certain, cannot be interacted with, will not be able to interact with the marketplace in most cases. That's how this works, right? It isn't just an image. It's like an actual tangible asset. Well, not tangible in the physical sense, but digital asset that you can interact with on a cryptocurrency wallet. The second thing I would like to say that sort of feeds into this, right? This is another topic that I see brought up, is that you're buying a link. There's a lot of people who believe that you're just buying a link to an image on a website so that if that website goes down, you no longer have what you paid money for. No one else can buy it. You've effectively just made an investment that you can't follow up on. Now, I can understand how you could be confused and believe this, but that's not how it works. And I actually have a story that I can prove this with. Now, I mint everything that I make, because I do make NFTs. Fair warning there. I think I might have heavily implied that at the beginning, but if you know anything about me, I do make them. I don't hide this. I mint all my stuff on the Tezos blockchain. Now, what that effectively means is there was one central platform that people would mint their stuff on until a little bit ago. That was Hic et Nunc, which is Latin for here and now. Now, Hic et Nunc was a very fun place to be, right? A lot of fun people there, a lot of cool people, but there was an issue, and that was mainly that it was ran by one man, and that man caught a little bit too much flack, and he just said, screw it, and he took the entire website down. Now, that sounds bad, right? That sounds bad because there were people who quit their jobs to make Tezos-based NFTs. I'm certain of it. And you would think that after that, everyone would be panicking. There was a little bit of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, but it was nothing but a hiccup in the grand scheme of things, because when it comes to NFTs, as long as nothing happens to the smart contract behind them, nothing can stop the signal here. That's the beauty of the blockchain. You cannot stop the signal. What I mean by this is there is something in the back end that interacts with all these NFTs known as a smart contract. It is the contract that you use to mint something and turn it into an NFT. I don't really know the technical aspects of it, but that's maybe a good thing because I can break it down into layman's terms that you and I could both understand. I'll say it like this. The process to create an NFT when it comes to the Tezos blockchain, I can't speak for Ethereum or anything else. What you do is you click the mint button on whichever website you want to use, and you drag and drop your image in there. You edit all the details, and then you will press confirm I would like to mint, and from there, your wallet will interact with the smart contract and effectively say, would you like to exchange a small fee in the amount of cryptocurrency that you're dealing in so that you can turn this image into a couple of tokens that can then be traded on these marketplaces. If you say yes, then congratulations, you have just made an NFT. You give it a little bit, and then you have however many tokens or NFTs, objects, whatever you would like to call them, in your possession that you can then list and sell, and if anyone buys them, well, you get the money from it. That's effectively how it works. But what you need to understand is that even though that website went down, the smart contract was still up, and there were other websites that could index all of the information that was coming out of it, all the information that had already interacted with it, and effectively, the signal could not be stopped because it's kind of like a hydra, right? You'd cut one head off and 5 more would grow back, and there's no stopping it. Even now, even to this day, there are more and more derivatives of Hic et Nunc coming out. There was one that caters specifically to the glitch art aspects of it, if I recall correctly, that came out recently called Hectic Nunc. And I think that that's just the bee's knees. I've been minting my stuff through something called hic.af. Other people like to use object.com. And I know that I've used object.com in the past because that's how I used to be able to auction stuff off. I think I've only ran one auction on there. Either way, you are not buying a link to it because whatever you buy is stored locally in your wallet, right? But that can also be interacted with, seen, indexed on online marketplaces and whatnot, like hick.af and whatnot, because these are all just front ends indexing information, reading information, letting you see information, as opposed to everything being central, and if one website goes down, then you're just screwed, right? I might have rambled a tad bit there. I might have gotten a little bit, I don't know, off kilter. I don't know how simple I'm putting this, but to make a long story short, Hick at Nunk went down, and all of my stuff is still in my wallet, and all of my stuff is still up on other websites. So, I mean, that kind of disproves the entire you're buying a link aspect of it. Another thing I could say here is that there are actual NFTs and NFT projects that have been delisted from other web services, other platforms, and they can still be seen either in your wallet or on other platforms that have not delisted them. A good examples of this would be like the Funks, which got delisted from OpenSea, or the Flirks, which was actually Stone Toss's profile picture project that got delisted not only from OpenSea but from Rarible at this current point in time, that you can only find them on Mintable. And I don't know if there's any other Ethereum-based platforms. I don't deal much in Ethereum. I got myself a Flirk, so I've been following this, and I think that was a good investment, all right? I'm not going to brag, though. That will get us way off topic. All I'm trying to say is you can't stop the signal, and you are very clearly not buying a link if you can access the information on that link on a different website entirely and list stuff on a different website entirely. Another thing I would like to bring up here is that a lot of people like to rag on NFTs because they believe that they look all the same. Now, I can understand where you're coming at from this, because there are a lot of punk derivatives, or, you know, Lazy Lions, Bored Ape Yacht Clubs, lookalikes with all of those. The big thing that you need to understand is if you catch flies with honey, right? So if people see that there is money being made in one area, there will be copycats, right? There will be people trying to make money there. So that's why you have a lot of these 10,000 or 5,000, in the excess of thousands, profile picture projects that will pop up, and overnight they'll get a lot of money. The big thing that you need to understand with that is that whenever people used to say it's kind of like trading cards, this is probably the aspect they meant, right? There are little variations here and there, but it's very clear to understand what it is connected to just by looking at it, a similar art style and whatnot. And these are just various projects. But this entire line of thinking that NFTs all look the same completely ignores the amount of culture that is still buried inside of the NFT community that you've just never looked at, right? Your perception is skewed. You are invariably biased when it comes to this, and I know that because you can't name probably any NFT artist that you haven't seen in a CNN headline, right? I'll say it like this. I can name off the top of my head on Tezos alone a lot of people that I've collected art from, because not only do I sell NFTs, but I like to support people too. I'm actually in a group chat with a couple of Rubber Hose NFT artists. We make a lot of Rubber Hose based art, and when it comes down to the stuff on Tezos, I mean, like Kev Craven, I love his stuff. He is definitely a lot better at doing what he does than I am, and I actually went through the process of digging through the secondary market and buying a couple of his stuff a while ago. That was how I actually found out about him. GloomTube is actually the guy who I found out about Hick at Nunk from, because I used to watch his live streams where he was making NFT art back before he found out about Hick at Nunk. He was making stuff on Rarible, I believe, when he was doing like purely Ethereum based stuff, but he moved over to Tezos, and that was definitely a good idea in my opinion. I actually went through the process of getting a buddy of mine involved in NFTs. His name is Loft Knight. He makes these outlandishly crazy, I use the word Lovecraftian, but I don't use it in this, I don't mean that to say giant space squid, but there are some tentacles, right? He makes these digital paintings that completely and totally just blow anything that I could do in the same realm out of the water. And he's got this mind that, like, he's made up this series called the Omni Delirium, this entire canon based on just, I don't even know how to describe it, but you know, you've got all these different art styles and all these different people who are doing amazing shit, and to say that NFTs all look the same is completely and totally just not at all open-minded. You're being very close-minded about this, and you've not seen any of the NFT art, right? What I'm trying to say is your perception is skewed, you are biased by purely what you're seeing is the very popular stuff, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Not even the tip, the air above the iceberg, right? You have not even begun to see some of the crazy, insane, amazing things that I have seen on these blockchains. So why not go check them out? Why not educate yourself? Even at that, I will say this. I know that I am not one to speak because I like to criticize corporate art styles as much as possible, but even if stuff looks similar, right? Even if it's not similar, but it looks similar, that does not mean that it does not have artistic merit, right? There is a market for everything. A lot of people like to believe that art is subjective, what is art is subjective, and that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And sure, I would like to be as optimistic as I can about it. So using that same line of logic, if it is still art, right? It is still art. There is still a market for it, and people still tend to enjoy it, right? I'll say it like that. NFTs do not all look the same. You are just biased. Now, here's one of the big ones. Here's one of the biggest ones that I hear listed in my replies anytime that someone likes to, stick their nose where they don't like it, right? I'll say it like that. Environmental issues. Now, the big thing with NFTs is that people kind of take it to say, well, look at all the energy that you're spending purely on NFTs, and they usually talk about Ethereum and only Ethereum. And I'm going to give you this right now. I'll say this. Ethereum is pretty wasteful when it comes to energy, right? That's why I don't use it too often. Well, that and the fact that it's so fucking expensive too, right? Gas fees will blow you out of the water, right? But whenever it comes down to this, it completely and totally ignores all of the other cleaner NFT blockchains that have been rising in the wake of Ethereum's success. Like I said, I mint everything that I do on Tezos. Tezos takes less energy to mint an object being an NFT on the Tezos blockchain, takes less energy to mint than to send a tweet. So likely, all of the people who have been shitposting and saying, oh, I hate NFTs so much, have been spending more energy in creating a larger carbon footprint than I have in like a week, 2 weeks, a month perhaps. I have made like 3 or 4 NFTs in the month of November, if I recall correctly, right? If you tweet 5 times, you have officially blown me out of the water. Another thing I'd like to say is that if you're looking purely at Ethereum-based NFTs, well, I'm just saying NFTs as a whole only account for about 30% of the transactions on Ethereum, if I recall correctly. Don't quote me on that, but that is the figure I have heard stated. And along with that, I think that you're completely ignoring all of the other things that take up energy, that create a larger carbon footprint in the grand scheme of things than just NFTs. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, right? But you use a big computer machine every day. Now, that computer machine has host to a lot of websites, right? You don't even want to know the horrible, horrible shit that Google, Alphabet, every major social media company, every major streaming platform is doing to the environment, right? Like, if you've ever sat down and watched Netflix, you ever marathoned a TV show, likely you have done loads more, exponentially more damage to the environment than any of the shit. Watching this video right now, matter of fact, is probably doing a lot more damage to the environment than any of the shit that I have done making NFTs on the Tezos blockchain, right? I am speaking purely for myself, but I will say this, it's just online banking, right? Their energy is taken up by everything that you do on the internet, and to just simply isolate this as a whole and say that this is one of the reasons why, like, so-and-so is going to happen in how many years, I don't care, because it pales in comparison to literally the entirety of the internet, everything else that is happening on the internet. And that's really the only thing that I can say about it, right? That's really the only thing that I can say. Tezos is cleaner than Ethereum. I use Tezos. You can't bring that against me. Another thing that I've heard, and this will be the final aspect of this, right? I am taking up an awful lot of time. I'm just crossing the 20-minute mark on the recording here. Why can't you just do commissions, or why can't you just open up a Patreon, right? Well, I'm going to be completely and totally frank with you. I've got a couple of reasons here, and a couple of them are personal, a couple of them aren't. The first thing I'd like to say is that sometimes people will ask for a set price, and even then they'll still lowball you, right? So the way that it works with doing work, right? I assume that everyone is on board with the idea of a minimum wage, right? Say if I were doing everything at a minimum wage of like $7 an hour, which is less than the minimum wage for, federally, right? If I'm working at like a fast food place. If I'm asking for $7 an hour and you want yourself like a brand shiny new sketch, or you want something done in my art style or so, you want the full 9 yards, right? Well, if I'm asking for that, well, like how many hours is it going to take? Say I spend an awful lot of time on here. Say I spend half a day making you a picture. 12 hours. Well, I take 12 times that by 7. Let's see how much that would turn out to be. That would be about $84, right? So people would ask for maybe a figure on that, maybe be all right with it. And then after you get the image done, say, here's your image, now about the payment, right? Well, then they're going to start lowballing you, right? They're going to start trying to look at it like it's a used car, say, well, you did this, or you cut this corner, or you did that, and effectively try to get more work out of you. And eventually, you're sitting there with a finished product that you spent 12 hours on. You thought you were going to get like $80 out of it because that was the agreed on price, and then they pay you a lot less. Now, that's obviously just a hypothetical scenario, but you aren't going to be able to make the same money that you would be making if you were like working a day job doing commissions, especially if you're just starting out, right? I've not even gone into the aspects of how hard it is to find an audience as an artist, because I was doing that for a decent bit before I got into NFTs, and I had little to no success. Then when I started NFTs, I actually found a community that was very welcoming. I digress. People will lowball you. People will try to haggle with you. People will ask for a sketch and then not pay you for a sketch. You will have issues with people just not paying at all in the slightest, so you've effectively worked for free, and then you can't turn on the lights because someone decided to take up your time and take up your effort, and then it just is a very black-pilling moment, right? I've heard several stories about this from several people. I bump elbows with people who do commissions from time to time. They have their own laundry list of reasons why they don't enjoy it, but they have to do it to pay the bills, right? Another thing with that, right? Good luck making any money. Good luck paying the bills, keeping the lights on, putting food on the table, especially if it's not just you alone in the household, if you aren't doing NSFW stuff. Another thing with this is that I don't want to contribute to that culture. I don't want to just sit down and have to draw like furry pornography so that I can go and pay the bills and keep the lights on, because I don't think that that's a good thing. I think that that is degrading, right? I think that it is feeding into a cycle of vice and addiction that has swallowed whole way too many people. No pun intended, given the fact we're talking about furry porn, right? I think it has swallowed enough people in my generation whole, and I don't want to contribute to that because that's just fucked, right? I think it's awful, and I think that it would make it like, say I went to a family reunion or something and they say, oh, you said you're an artist. What type of stuff do you draw? Let me see. You do it on the internet, right? Let me see your page. And somehow they found out what I was doing. That would make it very awkward, right? It's not the type of thing that I would like to do. I like doing safe for work stuff. I think that there's more stuff you can do on safe for work than not safe for work. And I think that if you're doing only not safe for work stuff, you are effectively just trying to get people addicted to your stuff in the worst way possible so that they can give you money. And not to mention, if you're doing not safe for work commissions, you're going to get some weird stuff that you're not going to be able to turn down because you want to keep the lights on. Not good. I don't like the thought of it at all in the slightest. Another thing, though, is that crypto is anonymous. Say you want to support an artist, well, you want to do it anonymously. Cryptocurrency is anonymous. You don't have to give them your name. Unlike PayPal, right? If you give someone your PayPal information, you send them money on PayPal, you're going to wind up giving them not only your name, but your shipping address, your post office box, whatever, your rough location. They're going to also wind up getting yours. That's the type of stuff with it. Cryptocurrency is anonymous, and that is a necessity in this age where privacy is such a hot commodity, right? Again, with all this, though, it all kind of comes down to one thing. Why do I not make a commission page? Why do I not take commissions? Well, the reason why is because I did one of them prior, and it was someone I knew in real life, and I mean, they were easy to work with, right? But I still did not know how to properly communicate with it, and then I went and I did a second commission, or I tried to, and I found out very quickly that I'm not going to be able to work with some people, right? And it came down to it. I am a man with autism, right? There are a lot of artists who have autism. Autism is relatively prevalent in today's society, right? 1 in 5 people, at least in America to my knowledge, are diagnosed with it, and I would wager that that number is higher. What I'm trying to say is, though, in an era where a lot more people are socially awkward or have no idea what they're talking about, it's hard to communicate with people, especially in a professional capacity, and that can lead to you either making a bad deal here or there, biting off more that you can chew, winding up lowballing yourself just so that you can try to get a sale here or there. All I'm trying to say is I don't have to communicate with people as much if I'm making NFTs. If I am making NFTs, that means that I have minted a set amount of whatever type of picture I have made, and I've put it out for sale at a set price. People can then get that image for whatever price I have set it at, and then if they sell it later on, well, that is passive income for me because I have royalties set up with the image. All in all, that seems like a win-win situation for me because it removes unnecessary communication that I would be doing with people who are buying my stuff. That's not saying I don't like communicating with them from time to time. It's just that I don't know how to do it sometimes, and this is a godsend for people like me. And if you say otherwise, right, I just don't know what to say there, right? I just don't know what to say. Like, I don't know, read a book on communicating with people. Perhaps I've heard that before. I can't do that, right? I'm really sort of back against the wall with this type of stuff. So basically put, I have personal issues with the amount of communication that like commissions would necessitate, and that's really the end of this, right? So that is basically the long version of why I prefer NFTs to any other method of monetization. And I would like to close it right now with a Discord post, right? I made a Discord post in a server a while ago talking about how a lot of people tend to hate. A lot of people tend to hate on NFTs, and I think that it would fit in very well here. This was also something that I wound up quote tweeting on an Exploshi tweet. I'll read that for context too. Exploshi on November 9th, 2021 said, "CryptoPunks seem to genuinely revel in the sense of community that comes with NFT ownership. Maybe we could try to teach them about commissions and avatars so they can get the same thrill without getting roped into money laundering schemes and being hated by everyone." I didn't also touch on the money laundering schemes thing. Everyone calls everything a money laundering scheme in this day and age, and if you don't think that furry porn isn't one big furry money laundering scheme, I think you're dumb, right? I can make a full video on that, but I'm getting off topic. The Discord post that I made, 9:37 p.m., sometime before November 9th, 2021, I said in a Discord server, "The independent artist prior to now has had to choose between bowing down to corporate overlords and degrading their styles into that of the flat, uninteresting, lobotomized, far too easily replicable corporate Memphis or CalArts bullshit, or tarnishing their names and reputations by pandering to the Coomer account mafia, by drawing exclusively strange, deviant, degenerate, sometimes only technically legal pornography for a small pittance, never guaranteed, by the way, or Patreon bucks. NFTs are, for those who seek to sit down grassroots support networks, a way out of this horrible dichotomy of monetization. The powers that be know this, so they will actively drum up derision wherever possible. These people are foot soldiers of the status quo. Never forget that. I stand by that wholeheartedly. That is continuing to be my stance on NFTs and the hatred that they get towards them, and it will be that way until I am proven wrong. I feel like I've rambled on long enough. I feel like this video was a fairly long one, right? Maybe even unnecessarily long, but it's something that I've been mulling over for an awfully long time. It's something that I've wanted to get off my chest for a long time, and I definitely feel a lot more relieved now that I've sat down and recorded all of this, right? So anyways, I would say that this is about it for this video. I don't really know what else I could touch on. If you would like to check out my Twitter, it is twitter.com/Hale_Keezer. If you'd like to check out my NFTs, I use the same moniker. You can check out the link in the description. And if you'd like to subscribe, well, I don't do videos like this often. I don't really do many videos often, but I do live stream fairly recently, very frequently, right? You can check those out if you'd like. Does not matter. Had to get this off my chest. All the links will be in the description. I've been Keezer. I've never been good at outros. I'll see you next time.